Well, as far as specifics on the fault, we don't have definitive information, and it's going to take a while to try to discern that. There are several active faults in that region that have been mapped. If we don't have a rupture that breaks right up to the surface, it takes a little bit of time to do that investigation. As far as previous earthquakes in that area, let me turn it over to Dr. Lucy Jones. She has some information about that.
We're actually going back to the source, Dr. Richter's book, published in 1957. There is a magnitude, well, an earthquake before they determined the magnitude scale, so he did not assign a magnitude to it. It looks to be a little larger than this one. It had a maximum intensity of 8, and we have a maximum intensity of 7 in this event. Very near the location, he called it the Whittier earthquake, and it happened on July 8th in 1929.
So you believe that's the last time this, whatever fault this is, size of the structure of those was that?
Well, this is the last time there was an earthquake this large, right in there. But of course, nearby, we have both the Chino Hills earthquake and the Whittier Narrows earthquake in 1987.
How long is this fault?
We don't know how long it is. Wait, it's associated. It's near the Puente Hills thrust. Given that we can't say definitively on any earthquake of this side, we can say there's some association with the Puente Hills thrust, which of course is so if you're asking the question, how big could something near here happen, the answer is very big, but that's also, of course, the same answer as much of Los Angeles.
Right, and you had a pre-shock prior to this one, of an hour and 3 minutes. What are the chances that this is a foreshock to something larger?
Okay. Every earthquake has about a 5% chance of being followed by something larger. The fact that this had a foreshock doesn't particularly increase that probability. So still on the order of 5%.
Some of the questions that you have about 7 earthquakes, 1987 earthquake in Whittier, can you rule out that is the same fault line?
No, we can absolutely rule it out. For one thing, if you look on the map that we have here, it's a long ways away from the 1987 earthquake, which you can see is up there sort of in the middle of the figure, and this morning and this evening's is quite far down. So no, it's not the same structure, it's not the same location as 1987. 1929 is the last time we had earthquake in this location.
Yeah, what are the questions you have about this activity, and will you be examining data, or is there anything physically you'll be
Well, yeah, clearly we have a lot of information that's coming in, a lot of data that we will continue to analyze. Obviously, questions such as can we identify the fault structure? Is that linked up to other faults? Getting an idea of how those faults might be interacting. Those are certainly questions that we'll be looking at. As we had talked about previously, and as Dr. Jones has indicated, the Los Angeles region is crisscrossed by many, many active faults, and it's a very complicated set of geological structures. And so to try to discern exactly what happened when an earthquake occurs 5 miles or 10 miles beneath the surface takes a bit of time. And so we will continue to do that, or continue to work on that, and hopefully come up with some more definitive information.
Are you thinking that there was an indication that this was the end of the dry spell in 20 years of abnormally small seismic activity?
Yeah, well, and I wouldn't necessarily go so far as to say it's the end of the dry spell, but it is certainly something that is typical for the Los Angeles region, and it's part of I would say, the natural cycle. As we had talked about before, this is another reminder. We live in earthquake country in Southern California, and this is an earthquake that is not terribly damaging, but it should be taken to heart that we can have larger, more damaging earthquakes.
I would say March 17th we said we can't tell for certain if this is the end of the drought. We'll have to wait and see if other things happen. The more we have, it's like asking if a particular storm or the drought is associated with climate change. At some point you get enough data and you finally go, okay, I'm overwhelmed. Any one individual one, you really can't say.
Earlier you had said that this was a very shallow earthquake, only a mile deep. Now you say maybe 5 miles. What changed, and what's the significance of that?
Yeah. So the very initial or preliminary estimates that came in indicated that it was relatively shallow, and it's a process. There's a lot of information that's coming in. It's continually being monitored, automated computer systems, and then we have the technicians that can go in and actually do a more rigorous and detailed analysis. And so that's why we had the revision on the depth. It's, it's part of the process. We want to get out as accurate information as possible, but we also want to be able to give out information as it becomes available.
Is there anything remarkable about this quake beyond the fact that it happened in a populated area and we noticed it?
Well, yeah, I would say this is the kind of earthquake that is typical for the Los Angeles region. And you're absolutely right. If this earthquake had occurred out in the desert, some other less populated area, it certainly would not have caused quite a bit of interest. I doubt many of you would not be here. So the fact that it was felt by a number of people means that there's a lot of people that are interested in it. It's very typical in terms of the fault structures we have in the Los Angeles region, though. As I had mentioned before, there's a number of active faults. Many of those we have not even identified because they're at depth. And so this earthquake is typical in that sense.